It's 1982. Ronald Reagan's been president for a year. Margaret Thatcher has been prime minister a few years longer, and between the two of them cutting the legs out of their respective nations' economies and eroding freedoms, punk had plenty of grist for the songwriting mill. Sadly, what was essentially England's hardcore scene was nowhere near as musically exciting as what the US had to offer. America's louder, faster, harder squad still offered distinctive rock and roll thrills with a significant amount of variety. The US was winning the punk stakes, but these 15 records encapsulate the year that was 1982. But before we begin, make sure to subscribe to APTV and turn on all notifications so you never miss a video. And check out the link in the description to the Spotify playlist featuring all of the artists on this list. 15 Best Punk Rock Records of 1982. Bad Brains, Bad Brains. Hardcore may have peaked with this yellow cassette from the tape-only Roar label. 4 DC Afro-Americans with phenomenal chops, stoked by years of funk and jazz fusion. Debut Bad Brains 45, Pay to Come, astonished by resembling a Sex Pistols 45 played at 78 RPM. Their first full-length spat 15 more tracks in 34 minutes. It's full of lightning-fast precision, leavened with the deepest dub born out of their Rastafarian beliefs, and a PMA philosophy healthier than typical nihilism. Misfits. Walk Among Us. New Jersey's Misfits couched their nihilism in kitschy comic book horror movie tropes. It helped that leader, Glenn Danzig, was more of a crooner with superior songwriting skills steeped in 50s rock and roll. Walk Among Us was actually the band's third attempt at a debut full-length, but the first to see release. It saw them transitioning from Ramones-ish buzz pop to something beginning to approach hardcore. It was instantly classic, thanks to Hatebreeders and Night of the Living Dead. Circle Jerks. Wild in the Streets. Wild in the streets. Running, running. No one who heard Keith Morris bellowing these words ever forgot them. LA Circle Jerks took Garland Jeffries' almost languid 1973 slice of post-Lou Reed R&B and made it explode. And the bombs never stopped dropping. Stars and Stripes, Murder the Disturbed, and Letterbomb all delivered. Angry Samoans, back from Samoa. Punk's most dysfunctionally brilliant band, Van Noy's Angry Samoans, centered around gonzo rock critics Metal Mike Saunders and Greg Turner, who weaponized 60s garage rock 45s, Ramones and Dictators outtakes, and a Mad Magazine-derived sense of humor. They got banned across LA by attacking K-Rock DJ Rodney Bingenheimer on their debut EP Inside My Brains Get Off the Air. The 14 furious rockers crammed into their debut LP's 17-plus minutes surely alienated whoever might be left. The Flesh Eaters. Forever Came Today. Chris D had tired of the Flesh Eaters' unstable lineup. After dissolving the LA All-Stars behind A Minute to Pray, A Second to Die, he based his sole permanent lineup around guitarist Don Kirk. Their metallic, economical third LP contains some of Chris D's best material, including the amazing opener My Life to Live, Red Cross, Born Innocent. Teenagers Jeff and Steve McDonald hailed from Hawthorne, California, with guitarist Heston, Circle Jerks, and drummer Ron Rees. On Born Innocent, Red Cross covered Charles Manson and the fictitious Beyond the Valley of the Dolls band, the Carrie Nations, serenaded Exorcist star Linda Blair, and still distilled the Dolls. Zero Boys. Vicious Circle. Zero Boys' debut verified hardcore had not only infected the coast, but now saturated America's midsection. Beginning with the title track centered around a clever 8-note circular riff, Vicious Circle answered the question of how the Buzzcocks would have fared playing hardcore. Even the speediest tracks were hooky and hummable. The Gun Club, Miami. On their 1981 debut, Fire of Love, the Gun Club set their stall as a boho poetic alternative to hardcore, already forming an orthodoxy preferring speed, brutality, obviousness over beauty, transcendence, and roots. Hence, leader Jeffrey Lee Pierce mined a million blues and rockabilly 45s for riffs and inspiration. Pierce continued to follow rock critic Don Waller's sage advice. Tell them what they don't want to hear. X. Under the Big Black Sun. Country strains emerge in songs such as Motel Room in My Bed, while raw emotions stirred by the death of Exene Cervenka's sister, Muriel, in a 1980 auto accident permeate material such as Riding with Mary and Come Back to Me. Overall, though, Cervenka and John Doe continue struggling with traditional marriage on tunes such as Because I Do. UK subs. Endangered species. UK subs continued to be standard bearers of the raw, straight-ahead Britpunk that The Clash and The Damned had abandoned. They had been hitting top of the pops regularly with raucous hits such as Teenage and Party in Paris. Like a black leather turd in a punch bowl populated by Culture Club and Depeche Mode, their best LP offered a side of brutal punk metal via the title track and a more experimental flip side. Descendents. Milo Goes to College. Punk had already long contained a more melodic strain from bands such as the Ramones, Buzzcocks, Undertones, and The Boys. But Descendents, comprised of 4 California high school nerds, perfected what drummer Bill Stevenson coined a coffeed-out blend of rock, surf, pop-punk music. Descendents' debut, bristling with hard and fast sing-alongs such as Suburban Home and My Age, set the standard. The Damned, Strawberries. The Damned declared themselves to Trouser Press magazine as the last punk band, but they seemingly itched to leave punk behind. True, they still cranked out plenty of what Captain Sensible called bludgeoned riffs, such as the frenetic Strawberries opener Ignite, but keyboard-driven pop songs such as Generals were more typical of their 5th studio effort, as well as funereal psychedelia as The Dog. Sensible's solo success with novelty hits such as Happy Talk would pry him from the band, freeing Dave Vanian to steer them into goth. Mission of Burma. Versus. Boston's Mission of Burma straddled the gap between punk and post-punk, creating a dense, pummeling racket filled with obtuse lyrical haikus. Moreover, it was twisted into odd shapes by soundman Martin Swope's tape loop experiments. Versus hardly lacked strong tunes, including the frantic That's How I Escaped My Certain Fate, which ended perfectly as the tape ran out. The Birthday Party. Junkyard. The turmoil characterizing Australia's greatest post-punk outfit now permeated both their lives and art. Bassist Tracy Pugh served a drunk driving jail sentence, replaced on several of their 3rd studio LP's tracks by Magazine's Barry Adamson. Phil Calvert was terminated, leading to guitarist Mick Harvey assuming the drums. As these players and genius guitar deconstructionist Rowland S. Howard twisted R&B into several tense, nervy shapes. Nick Cave yowled American Southern Gothic imagery like Flannery O'Connor undergoing electroshock therapy. Rock and roll still struggling to catch up to The Birthday Party on this record. Husker Du. Land Speed Record. The Minneapolis-based trio of singer and guitarist Bob Mould, singer-drummer Grant Hart, and bassist Greg Norton later branded the 80s with melodically sophisticated punk. England's NME characterized them as buzzcocks grown desperate and huge. Their debut LP sounds nothing like that. It's a noisy burst of frenzied hardcore, cramming 17 songs into a little over 26 minutes. Recorded live at 7th Street Entry, direct from a soundboard feed for $300, it laughs at production values. It's the least musical thing Husker Du would ever do.